Hello everyone, my name is Jay Parr, my pronouns are he, him, his. I just graduated with an MFA in Visual Art from the University of British Columbia this past fall, and I work in public programs at the Belkin Art Gallery. Today I'm going to give you a brief introduction to some of the outdoor artworks that I've seen here on campus. The University of British Columbia, as is the Belkin Art Gallery, is located on the traditional, ancestral, unceded territory of the Musqueam people. Whether this is your first time here or you've been here for a while, I encourage you to come by the gallery and pick up one of these Kekon booklets. You can also download a copy on our website. This booklet is a self-guided walking tour of several Musqueam posts around campus and was written by Jordan Wilson, who's a member of Musqueam. This booklet is written in his voice from his perspective, and it's a good starting point for thinking about the context of being an unceded Musqueam territory and at the University of British Columbia's Vancouver campus. The works I'm going to be introducing you today are all works that deal explicitly or implicitly with issues related to Indigenous and settler relationships. This is a very, very brief introduction. I'm a settler. My ancestors came here uninvited as settlers and colonizers. This is the perspective I can offer today. If you'd like to talk with us more about these works, please come by the gallery and request an outdoor art tour. You can also come to the gallery and pick up one of these booklets, which include tours of outdoor art that are self-guided, or download one from our website. I want to start here at Native Hosts. Native Hosts is a series of 12 signs located on different parts of campus. These works were made by Hokiavi Edgar Heap of Birds, who's an artist of Cheyenne and Arapaho descent. Right now I'm standing in front of the First Nations House of Learning, where one of these signs is located. The sign reads, British Columbia, backwards, today your host is Musqueam. The overall format for these signs is similar, but each sign has the name of a different First Nation it was located in what we now call British Columbia. When we think of signs, we might think of things like we use for wayfinding, like trail signs or street signs. We also might think of stop signs, which tell us to adopt or change certain behaviors. When we're talking about this work, I'd like to keep this in mind. What is the sign asking us to do, and who's the voice of authority? Here, British Columbia is literally backwards. Below that it reads, today your host is. When we think of hosting, we might think of hosting a gathering. We also might think of a relationship between a parasite and a host, which is a much more violent and insidious relationship. And here, our host is Musqueam. We are on unceded Musqueam territory. So there's a question here. Am I, or are we, being good guests? Are we coming in respectfully to someone's house and doing right by them, or are we being parasites? Are we living and benefiting at the expense of the Musqueam people? These are important questions to ask yourself while you're here, or engaging with the space and territory, but these are questions that don't begin or end here either. When I first came here to UBC campus, this series of signs was one of the first things that I saw. This surprised me because I recognized the format of these signs. I moved here from the States. In my hometown, Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, we also have a series of these signs by Hokiavi Edgar Heap of Birds. Although the place names and the names of the people differ, the format of the signs remains the same. The reason I bring this up is because Native Hosts has been installed in several different iterations across the continent and changes slightly with each iteration. It changes in each iteration, is attentive to the territory that it's on, and isn't beholden to settler state borders. These issues around hosting, being good guests, coming here uninvited, these are issues related to this particular territory, this particular context, but they radiate out to other places, territories, and contexts as well. Our next stop today is at this pole called Victory Through Honor, which is a 2004 replica of the original pole made in 1948 by Ellen Neal, who was a Kwakwaka'wakw carver. But before we can talk about the pole itself, we need to talk about the potlatch ban. The potlatch ban was a piece of legislation put forward by the Canadian government in 1885, which outlawed the practice of potlatches. Potlatches are a practice done by many different First Nations in what we call the Pacific Northwest region, where people come together to witness things like marriages, gifts being given, rights being observed or passed on. It's a ceremonial, legal, and social space. The potlatch ban put forward by the Government of Canada was designed to strip Indigenous people of their access to the social, legal, and ceremonial space. The ban ended in 1951. Potlatches continue to be practiced today. Ellen Neal presented this pole in front of a crowd of 6,000 people to the AMS in 1948, when such an action could have resulted in her being arrested. She dedicated this pole with a statement reminding the university of their commitment to Indigenous students past, present, and future. Alongside Neal gifting the pole, Chief William Scow also gifted the Alma Mater Society, the students of UBC, permission to use the symbol and name Thunderbird for UBC athletics. When UBC first adopted the use of the Thunderbird in 1934, they did so without consulting any First Nations about the use of its symbol or name for UBC athletics. Thunderbirds are an entity or figure significant to many different First Nations, and the story's significance and symbols vary from person to person, people to people, and place to place. The Thunderbird you see at UBC refers to the Kwakwaka'wakw Thunderbird of Chief William Scow. I wanted to end today's segment here Millennial Time Machine by Rodney Graham was commissioned for the new millennium and was installed here in 2003. The piece itself as a Landau carriage has been converted into a camera obscura. Landau carriages were designed to allow maximum visibility. It was a way to show off your wealth when you're riding around the city in your carriage, and from the inside of the carriage, your sight lines of the landscape around you as you pass by, you could observe from a comfortable seat. A camera obscura is a tool that produces an image that's upside down or reversed, in this case, by light projected onto a screen. Camera obscuras have a wide range of uses. They've been used to help trace paintings, they've been used for scientific inquiry, and as entertainment. Camera obscuras have been in use for hundreds of years, and they're one of the more influential predecessors to multi-lens cameras today. The camera obscura here is focused on the sequoia tree behind me, the conular-looking tree. Sequoias can grow to be among the tallest trees in the world and are particularly long-lived. The inverted image of the tree too, which is an image that Rodney Graham's been working with for decades, raises issues around environment, economy, and ownership of territory. When the work was first installed, the area behind me, what we call Library Gardens, was an open, garden-like pastoral area. The lens at the back of the carriage is a geographer's lens. So there was a lot of talk around ideas around surveying land and how settlers would use lenses like these to survey land. Several years back, in 2018, the Indian Residential School History and Dialogue Center opened. So there was this shift from thinking about this pastoral space as settlers understood their relationship with land and territory, to looking at the legacy and structural violence of that settler colonial way of looking at engaging with this territory, and the indigenous people who have been here since time immemorial. Sometimes artworks shift our understandings of space, and sometimes shifts in space change our understandings of artworks.